One second. Little bit shifting from Bhagavatam to Ramayana because we don't touch those stories, right? So I just thought I'll tell you. So the first time when it happened with Lord Ram, when we noticed Guni came and influenced Kaikeyi, and she actually made sure that Dhritarashtra actually tells him to go for a 14-year of a not world tour but a forest tour. And the previous day, Rama was supposed to become the king, and the next day he had to go to forest. Rama had no reaction. And Lord Bharata, what happened when Lord Rama was very calm and composed? Lord Bharata comes there and he is very upset with his mother. And first, in his mind, what comes in his mind and what he acts? The first thing which comes in his mind is, this is the fault of my mother. How can she be so bad? And yes, he reacts very strongly to that. Then his mind shifts. This is his mind thinking, mind voice to, the Kuni. How can she behave in such a odd odd manner, right? She's been nice because she had taken care of Bharat also. So how can she treat Ram like that, end of the day, and give this kind of a situation to me? And he was extremely angry with her. And he said that no, this is absolutely wrong. Then third, he tells that forget whatever they asked. Why that my father gave this kind of a promise to my mother, which is an open-ended promise? As a king, he should make sure that his promise is valid, and even if he gives a promise more than his word, kingdom should rule. Therefore, he should have taken the supreme interest of the kingdom and done away with the promise. Why is his individual promise greater? So he gets wild with him. And then he looks at Lakshmana. He thinks, what is this Lakshmana for? He was there in the kingdom. And when all this was happening, what was Lakshmana doing? Was he hatching eggs? He should have stood and fought because he's the angry guy, right? He should have taken and fought. So he's very upset with that. And next he gets into, what are all prajas doing? Can't prajas create a commotion so much, like we do a bank strike, that things can go wrong? And that is, the fault of the praja. So each time when he does this in his mind, he thinks it's the fault of his mother, it's the fault of the Guni, it's the fault of the father, it's the fault of Lakshmana, it's the fault of praja. And now finally he's come to Ram. No, I think this is the fault of Lord Ram. You know why? Lord Ram is supposed to follow the rules to the T. He said father's word should be taken care. But what is the rule of the king? The entire Vamsa, the Surya Vamsa, always had the eldest son to be the king. Therefore, he should have spoken the rule and said, Dad, your word may be great, but you should understand I am the eldest son, and therefore I am the righteous owner of the throne, not because I want the throne, but because this is the Surya Vamsa rule. It is Rama's mistake. And finally, everything pinpoints. He goes on thinking, this is all his mind voice. He's not gone and fought with anyone. Tongue, 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 tongue. He does. And then he looks at himself in the mirror and says, it's me, right? Had I not been there in the first place, two things could have happened. Had I been here in the first place, I could have stopped it. No problem. That is a different issue I had gone. Had I not been born only in the first place, right? Then this would have not happened. So everything, the cause and the sole reason for the entire thing to happen and for today Lord Ram to go there is me. None other than me is responsible for Lord Ram to go in for his 14 years of Vanavas, and therefore I am the culprit. This was Bharat's realization. And from here, what happens is your mind can concoct so many things, but the conclusion of the mind is very different, right? It also concocted like us, A, B, C, and this is the reason. But the final solution which he came down with is, I am the sole proprietor reason for Ram to go to Vanavas. So why I'm saying this is, every time when there is a problem, we start justifying. And one time we should just go before the mirror and see, is there any way I am responsible? We need not tell the word, but at least we should know where we are, right? So the first thing is we should ask ourselves, is there any part contribution of us? So everywhere the reason for this is because of the fact that there is some expectations we draw. As I said, like a friend means she should call on a. So there is something called tick off, right? There is a target. You'll be wondering, why am I saying target? Because in sales this is a very common and not a very accepted word in the material world. Target means something which is beyond what you should ideally do. So in sales, if you can sell 100 pens, the target which will be given is 150. So the target is a number which you have to achieve. Like that, we also have sub-targets. Mom means she should do this, target 1, target 2. Spouse means target 1, target 2. Friend means target 1. And if we don't hit the target, the problem what happens to us is we get angry, we get greedy if we achieve the target, we get angry if we don't achieve the target, and bottom to start with all this is there is a lust, there is a desire to achieve the target. So this one, we can take Bharat as an example to think as to how. It is just an example from how he saw, and he said that he himself is responsible. So like that, we are going to go back to Srimad Bhagavatam, where Parikshit starts taking responsibility from the very start of what happened and why and how he is responsible. Instead of justifying, he pinpoint himself as to how he went wrong. So let's go back to the verse and see that. Hare Krishna.